In a world in which all keyboard players were called Nigel, had a degree in mathematics, and looked to the ceiling while talking to you, it was a momentous moment when this man arrived. A comet had appeared, sprinkling the sky with its sparkly tail above the town of Battle, East Hoathly more precisely, near Hastings. Last time this had happened, things didn't work out too well for a certain King Harold, a man who was always losing things, and in this case, he lost his sight and his life simultaneously. The next time the comet came round, it was to herald the birth of a future god, a prog rock god. I started writing with this man, I think when we were about 15 years old, and a school, which was a sort of traditional, repressive public school, music was our big escape. And in fact, I think my mum's guest book, still the most number of visits recorded are by a certain A.G. Banks, because we used to go out on the weekends and try and concoct whatever things we could come up with. And I'm still generating feedback. But we've always had a different approach to a lot of things. You know, Tony's been best friend and worst enemy all wrapped up in one. Normal band politics at their best. I mean, one of the things we'd argued about was the length of the keyboard solos, you know, because they would start in prehistoric times and move swiftly into the future. And how long can a singer be expected to wiggle his bum and shake a tambourine? You have to think of the suffering involved. So whenever I could, I would interject little bits of vocal over which we'd argue frequently, because I was scuffing up his beautiful masterpieces. But we were idealist perfectionists, and I was the mug up the front who had to try and keep the audience entertained. And also, we differed on how to present ourselves. You know, when I was trying to dress up as a flower and a sexually transmitted disease, Tony would be very bold and move from one pastel shade to another in his sweater. But what we shared was a passion for music, and you know, the singer. This is because I'm still hogging his moment, you know. Have you noticed that? Because in the studio, you know, and you see this with every band. There's a singer just taking the limelight, and there's these other guys sort of twitching around. What's that fucker gonna say now? But I'm going to have to shut up and hand it over to a man who I think has made his shape on our country's music. He's generated extraordinarily lyrical melodies, wonderful songs, beautiful chord sequences, and I'm very happy and proud still to be able to call him my friend. In fact, he is one of my oldest friends, and when I say oldest, but he is also an extraordinary, exceptional talent that doesn't get the acknowledgement that he really deserves. It's my pleasure to present the Prog God Award to the amazing Mr. Tony Banks.
Yes, well that was all very nice. Now normally, as you noticed with all the people who came up here today, every single one of them actually, one guy came up to the front and he said, "Oh, it's lovely, thanks for this award, this is all so wonderful." Well, the other guys sat around and occasionally said things like, "Okay, good," you know. Now I'm one of the guys at the back there. I've done that, well, 45, 50 years almost actually. First of all behind that chap there, who just was fairly rude about me, but you know, that's okay. And later on with Mr. Collins, who was also, I was going to say something, I don't want to be rude about anybody tonight, but one has to say something about hair maybe, you know? You know, that's okay, because, you know, he's still got a little bit left, Peter, and probably got slightly more than Phil, I don't know really. It is noticeable that keyboard players seem to keep a lot more hair than singers. I don't know why this is, you know. Rick, look at that hair, fantastic, you know. Keith Emerson is not here tonight, but he's still got hair. Talking of keyboard players, you know, I did an interview the other day with an American journalist who said to me, trying to build me up for the interview, he said, you know, you were voted 12th best keyboard player in the world. And I said to him, who the fuck were the other 11? I don't mean that in the sense that I know, to misquote Maggie Smith, there are 11 better keyboard players in Woking. But it just seems to me I couldn't really name that many keyboard players. Anyhow, that's by the by. I think, being serious, and I'm going to be nice about everybody tonight, and from now on I am, I have been very lucky with the people over the years. You know, friendship with Peter, we met when we were 13, started writing songs together, and it seemed to work for us. Anthony Phillips is in the room tonight, and I think he was the one who was really responsible for getting Genesis kind of to the next stage. He wanted to play live. Peter and I really weren't that interested at that stage, and along with Mike Rutherford, we formed the band that became Live. And after, unfortunately, Anthony left the band, which was a tragedy for the group, and I felt one we wouldn't really survive. But we then found Phil Collins, which was quite a lucky find, given that he was brought in as a drummer and ended up being one of the most famous singers in the world later on. And obviously Steve Hackett as well, and I felt that the jigsaw was finally completed with those people in there. And I know that I would not be here without all those people and everything they gave to the group. So that's a fantastic thing for me. I'd like to thank Richard McPhail, he's over there. Friend and supporter from the beginning, and was very encouraging when Ant left the band to make certain we kept on going. I don't want to name lots of people that most of you haven't heard of, because I know it's not very interesting, but I'm still going to name one or two more. There's Tony Smith down there, has been a manager over the years, who took us from being a very untogether group to being what we later became, I suppose. And I'd also like to draw attention to someone who's likes the limelight even less than me, since I probably won't be up in this sort of position ever again. I'm going to mention my wife, Margaret, because she won't thank me for that, I'm afraid, but anyhow, there you go. Anyhow, the other thing, I'd just like to talk about the solo career. I've done a lot of stuff independent of Genesis, and for those of you that might be interested in, there is an album called A Chord Too Far. I was going to bring an album up here, but I was told not to do that, which is a compilation which just came out very recently, and I think, you know, if you like Genesis, there's a lot of stuff to like there. And there's no other album you're going to hear where you have collaborations with Steve Hillage and Michael Winner on it, let's be honest. So, I think I've said enough. I'm going to go. Thanks very much.